Hey everyone, I'm back. Some 100 miles or whatever further down the road, ready to try again. If the screen goes blank, I'm just going to give up for today. That will be divine providence, or it won't go blank. Anyway, I think we left off in part one. We're talking about the idea of 11. 11 being the one that is not only above and the source of the 10, which is the completion of creation, 10 spheros, 10 powers of the soul, 10 divine emanations, but it is within, embedded within. It is the core. It is the unchanging, indescribable, uncompound, meaning made up. It's not made up of parts. It just is. It's the total isness of everything. That is the level. That is the level of 11. That's the level of one. That oneness that is revealed in the number 11 as it flows through all 10 of the powers of our soul, all 10 divine emanations, intellectual, emotional, and physical in action. So we are rectifying creation. We're really, really close to the end. So what is happening on the 11th birth, on the 11th of Nissan? We talked about the month of Nissan, miracles, wonders, redemption. It is the birthday of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, who is the central soul of our generation. And each of these central souls receive the one that came before, brings in their own part. So that central soul continues to get more and more expanded, more and more empowered. The central soul corresponds to all of the other souls of the generation. Not only does an expression Hanasi Hu Hakol, that the Nasi, the leader, the central soul of the generation, is equivalent to all of the souls of the generation. Now that's not a value comparison, although really could make a value comparison, but it's much more, it's much deeper than that. It's much more holographic. The central soul is called the central soul, Neshama Klalit, a universal soul, a connected soul, a collective soul rather, because each one of us is a part of that soul. Each one of our souls is like a cell as if in a body of that central soul. And in turn, in a holographic way, that central soul is embedded in the point, in the innermost point of our own souls. The innermost point, as it says, of the heart. Not the heart as we think of it, with emotions and so forth, but innermost core of the soul that is enclosed in the heart. So that is the holographic relationship that we have with the central soul. So just like in the month of Adar, because Moshe Rabbeinu was born in Adar, so the entire month is full, is imprinted with the mazel, with the spiritual source of Moses, of Moshe, the first redeemer. So likewise, the month of Nisan is embedded every moment of the month of Nisan, in addition to its own qualities and characteristics of miracles, wonders, redemption, the supernatural coming into the world, expanding what's possible in our world, moment to moment to moment, what's possible for us. It's also embedded with the mazel of the Rebbe, of this central soul of our generation, the greatest, by this definition, central soul of all times, because each of the central souls, the one in a generation, receives from the ones that come before and expands. Likewise, our generation, in a certain way, as low as we are, is the greatest generation of all time. As the expression goes, we are midgets standing on the shoulders of giants. That was the saying going around when I became religious, that the previous generations were so much more connected and so forth, but we get to benefit like a relay race. We are only bringing the baton home. But it's even deeper than that, because actually it's only on the surface that we are so disconnected, or that our world is so disconnected, that things are so problematic. Really what's happening beneath the surface is, and also as the Rebbe said many times, we are the last generation of exile, of Gullus, and the first generation of redemption, of Geulah. Meaning, the same person, me, you, all of us, each of us, contains these two dimensions within us, these two quantum dimensions of exile, a world of separateness and smallness and helplessness and fragmentation and chaos. And at the same time, exact opposite, a world of oneness and unity and the supernatural brought into the laws of nature as they continuously expand. Godliness, a higher superstructure, cosmic superstructure that can contain and reveal and express infinite divine light, infinite divinity, infinite divine consciousness. So it's the very lowness that we experience in ourselves and around ourselves that is literally a part, an essential part of that absolute highest state that is coming in. and we are meant to be the catalyst for that. So it's like in birth when the process becomes more and more intense till often, it's left down. Okay, I'm back. Anyways, the fractal pattern of creation that exists on so many levels that we have to go through the depths, that ultimate gate. All right, I hope I can finish now. I'll try to be fast. Okay, so we're everything must go through the gate of the end of the previous way of being into the beginning of the new way of being. And that's exactly where we are now. And that brings me to the last thing that I want to say. Well, before I say that last thing, the more we can connect to the central soul outside of ourselves in learning, that's what my work is all about, teaching the mystical Torah, particularly from the wisdom of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, which is activating. His birth date is today, again, the central soul of our times, who's activating our own souls in this way, but also through an activation of the inner self, the inner co-creativity, the inner connection to the deep depths of the soul, to the deep depths of the Torah, to the deep depths of God, as much as we can. So in our times, we are experiencing a breakdown of the known, a breakdown of the solutions that we have to the issues that we see, that we experience, are not nearly enough. But there's a purpose to that, and that is to create a state shift. So you don't have to be helpless in the matter, but you have to know where to look for your power. And that's what I want to end with in this life. Basically, you cannot find much power in the political arena. It's good to speak out. It's very important to try to influence our world, our environment, especially on a local level. This is really important. Whatever we can do to empower ourselves and each other, rather than just depend on a global hierarchy or a national hierarchy, whatever, that is really empowering, and it's part of the call of the hour. So anything that we can do to empower, empowerment being the word, to empower ourselves, to empower others, to empower our families, to empower our local community, that's where we do actually have a lot of influence still. But on a much deeper level, what I want to say is that it's time for us to connect vertically. So instead of trying to influence the movements of nations and the deep state and whatever it is that that many of us are aware of that's going on underneath the surface, these massive forces, God is running this game. It says in Kabbalah that God will bring back the major players throughout history who fought against him. This is spiritual war. Once again, this is Gog and Magog. This is the final war. This is the war for God and Mashiach. That's what we're experiencing now, and we experience it in ourselves as a fractal of the globe. How much do we believe? When we are challenged, when our mind is distracted by fear, which is the anti-God. Fear is the anti-God. Fear shuts down. Fear closes off your higher mind. Fear closes off your inner heart. It basically cages your soul inside, destroys influence, causes reactivity. We're being triggered on purpose, though, on purpose. Why? To catalyze the state shift. What is the state shift? State shift from fear to trust, to confidence. That's the word, same word in Hebrew, bitachon. What about worry? Worried about the future? Worried about the present? What's the opposite of worry? Flow and relaxation. You have doubts about what's going to happen in the future? What's the opposite of doubt? I guess I would also say confidence. But vision. How about vision? How about instead of worrying about what's happening when you get triggered, go into prayer, go into meditation, and go into the creation of a vision not only for the world, but a vision for every aspect of your life. We are like, our souls are co-creative, and more so now than ever before, because our powers continue to expand. Again, if you didn't hear the last live that I did a few days ago, Nissan, Miracles and Wonders, and what that means and how we dig into that. I suggest you listen to it after this. Also, part one of this live stream that I did earlier today. But you want to develop a clarity, a vision about what it is that you want for your health, for your self-expression, for your purpose, for your relationships, and primarily for your relationship with God and for the world around you. Anything that you can impact, the world where you walk, the world where you sleep, the world where you vote, the world, the world you interact with, your people. That's where you want to develop a clear vision and write it down in each and every area. That's the GPS that gives direction to the powers, the co-creative powers of your soul. Without that GPS, you're going to be constantly bouncing back between fear and getting out of fear, fear and getting out of fear, or anger, judgment, whatever those emotions are. Those gullus emotions. Again, I cannot overemphasize. We're designed to experience these things because we're here to make the final transformations. We are in the last generation of gullus, of exile, the first generation of Beulah, of redemption. Each one of us is a player. Each one of us is a co-creator. So create your GPS. This is my message for today. Connect to the central soul. Make a decision to learn some of the Hasidus, some of the deep teachings and the wisdom of the Rebbe, the central soul of our times. We're all a part of central soul. You can find out more about the Rebbe if you don't know where on chabad.org, chabad.org, or Rebbe, REBBE.com, or you can just Google about Rebbe. Thousands of classes in his teachings and about him, and also, my own school, gateofunity.com/school. If you're interested in deep dive transformation and redemption as the underlying continuous expanding theme. But make your make this morning, noon, and night. Memorize it and run it in the background and in the foreground as much as you can. And this will give purpose, direction, a GPS target for those co-creative powers of your soul. So instead of worrying, instead of evaluating, look how beautiful this is. Can you see this? Fasten this. Yikes. So beautiful. Anyway, without that, with that, you will have a target like throwing a grappling hook, or like mountain climbers throw the, whatever it is that they throw up, hook into the mountain, pylon, what's that called? And then they can climb up there. Even more so, you are programming your GPS. The co-creative powers are there already. The more you connect to the central soul, the power of 11, the month of Nissan, what job is to bring the supernatural into the natural, including in you, especially in you. That's where you have the influence. That's where you can be most empowered. So connect to all of those things, not just in your thought, not just in your prayer, not that I'm minimizing those things, they're tremendously powerful, but in your actions and learning. Look at that. Is that beautiful? So beautiful. And then today, I did this morning, I've done it many times, but I realize even more now than I ever did before that it's a key to have the vision. It's a key to program the GPS. Otherwise, you're floundering around. Otherwise, you're just working on your state or whatever distracting, jobs you have to do or whatever distracting fears come up. Forget about it. Forget about it. Forget about the fear. Make the connection. Create the GPS and release your supernatural powers. It is now the 11th of Nissan. The entire month of Nissan is embedded with this flowing, expanding potential for miracles and wonders. How much of it is going to get into the world? How much of it is going to get into your life? That depends on you. That depends on how much you bring down. So it's not a random thing. That's what I want to be sure is clear. You must create your GPS. What would a miraculous life look like in the area of your health, in the area of your behavior, in the area of your thoughts, in the area of your work, in the area of your environment, in the area of your relationships, in the area of you living your purpose, in the area of your relationship with God? What would miraculous supernatural life look like? So go through that. If you choose to experience that, I suggest today is the most powerful day when you can do that, and it will help you to prepare for Passover, even if you're not Jewish. Pesach in Hebrew, even if you're not Jewish, that energy still exists in the world of breaking through, of God reaching out his out of exile. Here in these times, spiritual soul and the where we are meant to activate that redemption process in ourselves. That's what generation is about. It's not only about us being small, helpless, and having to be redeemed by the Creator Himself. We're always being redeemed. Change. God wants to help us cultivate our own power to redeem, our own power to create miracles. We are all able to be healers of ourselves and the world, not by ourselves, to the Torah, connecting to the Nasi, leader of the generation, and letting loose, changing that brain wiring, opening the portals to infinite co-creative powers. So rather than worry about what's happening, allow yourself to relax and flow rather than staying in fear. Work on trust, but even more than that, think about what it is that you're here to accomplish, that you're here to create, and know that one good action, one inspired action, one inspired thought, one inspired word, I should have said word first, because we are so at the edge at this point, will take us over the edge of the cliff, and we will fly. Okay, that is the power of Nissan, that is the power of Yud Aleph Nissan, and that is the power of you. So dig into it. Let's do this together. Don't forget, as we do, we are building a morphic field where miracles are just every day. I can say my influencers in our program are starting to experience that, and we can all experience it now. Our choice. Okay, take care of everybody. Happy birthday, and on to Kosher and Freilich and Pesach, like we say, a joyous holiday of Pesach, Passover, and Shiach